Captain Alan Mitchell stared out the viewport of the Earth Defense Force vessel, Defiance, as it approached Centauri Prime. The blue-green planet grew larger by the minute, its 3 moons orbiting in a perfect dance. 50 years after humans first broke the lightspeed barrier, they were finally getting a seat at the Galactic table, or so they hoped. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions," said Lieutenant Frank Collins from his station. The young officer's eyes were wide with excitement. "The Galactic Council Control says we're the first human ship ever to dock at their main station." Mitchell nodded, straightening his dark blue uniform. "Well then, let's make a good first impression." The ship eased into the massive docking bay which housed vessels of all shapes and sizes. Some looked like giant silver fish, others like floating crystals that changed colors. The Defiance, with its practical design and visible weapon ports, looked out of place among the sleek alien crafts. "Reminds me of taking my old pickup truck to a fancy car show," said Dr. Susan Miller, Earth's chief weapons researcher. She stood beside Mitchell, nervously adjusting her glasses. "They're going to laugh at us, aren't they?" Mitchell gave her a reassuring smile. "Let them laugh. We didn't come this far to win a beauty contest." The human delegation, consisting of Mitchell, Miller, Collins, and 3 other officers, walked down the ramp and onto Centauri Prime. They were met by a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms and large, intelligent eyes. "Welcome to Centauri Prime, humans," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Jorex, your guide. The council awaits your presentation." Jorex led them through shining hallways filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some walked on many legs, others floated above the ground. The humans tried not to stare, but it was hard not to. "There are over 300 species represented in the council," Jorex explained. "Most have been spacefaring for thousands of years." Collins leaned close to Mitchell. "No pressure, right?" The council chamber was an enormous amphitheater, larger than any stadium on Earth. Thousands of seats rose in circular rows, each occupied by a different alien species. The human delegation looked very small as they walked to the center of the floor. "Representatives of Earth," boomed a voice that seemed to come from everywhere. "I am High Chancellor Zorn of the Galactic Council. Today we evaluate your species for potential membership." Mitchell stepped forward and bowed. "We are honored to be here, High Chancellor." A creature that looked like a cross between a scorpion and a lion stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Kral Thax of the Varaxian Empire, military advisor to the Council. As per our customs, we request a demonstration of your defensive capabilities." Mitchell nodded to Dr. Miller, who activated a small device. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, showing Earth's defense fleet and weapon systems. "Our main defensive vessels are equipped with railgun technology," Miller explained. "These weapons accelerate solid projectiles to significant fractions of light speed using electromagnetic forces." The hologram showed a simulation of the weapon firing. "Additionally, we utilize kinetic impact weapons and various explosive compounds for planetary defense." A strange sound filled the chamber. It took Mitchell a moment to realize it was laughter. Thousands of aliens were laughing, making clicks, whistles, and rumbling sounds that their translation devices rendered as amusement. High Admiral Zex Valen of the Arcturus Dominion, a tall, thin alien with silver skin, approached the human delegation. He moved with grace, his long robes flowing around him. "You still use physical projectiles? Explosive compounds?" The Admiral's voice dripped with condescension. "How quaint. Most species abandon such primitive methods within their first century of space travel." The Admiral raised his hand, and a new hologram replaced Miller's. It showed a weapon firing a beam of pure energy that cut through an entire moon, splitting it in 2. "This is a basic defensive weapon used by most Council races," Zex Valen explained. "It requires minimal resources to build and can be powered indefinitely by harvesting energy from nearby stars." Dr. Miller stepped forward. "With respect, Admiral, our weapons have unique properties that—" Yes, Zex Valen interrupted. "They make loud noises and explosive displays. Very dramatic. Very primitive." More laughter filled the chamber. "Our kinetic weapons can penetrate most energy barriers," Miller tried again. "The physics of solid matter moving at relativistic speeds." "Dr. Miller," the High Chancellor interrupted. We appreciate your enthusiasm, but the Council has seen thousands of species develop along similar technological paths. Energy-based weapons are simply superior in every way to physical projectiles. This is a fundamental truth of advanced warfare. Mitchell saw the flush of anger on Miller's face and placed a hand on her shoulder, silently telling her to let it go. High Chancellor Zorn raised his hands, calling for silence. The Council will now vote on Earth's status. The vote took less than 5 minutes. Lights flashed across the chamber as each representative made their choice. It is decided, the High Chancellor announced. Earth will be granted protected developing species status rather than full membership. What does that mean? Collins whispered. An alien with skin like tree bark leaned forward from a nearby seat. It means you're considered children among adults, he explained with what seemed like sympathy. You'll have an observer seat in the lowest tier and basic trading rights, but no voting power. Mitchell felt his jaw tighten. And how long does this status last? High Chancellor Zorn answered, until your species advances sufficiently to meet Council standards. Based on your current technology, our estimates suggest approximately 300 Earth years. The human delegation was escorted to a small platform at the very edge of the chamber, far from the important species. From this distance, the Council members looked like tiny dots. This is humiliating, Collins muttered. No, Mitchell replied. This is information. Now we know exactly where we stand. After the session ended, the humans walked back to their ship in silence. The weight of humanity's new, lowly status hung heavy on their shoulders. As they boarded, the defiance, Collins finally spoke. They have no idea what we're capable of, do they, sir? Mitchell's eyes narrowed as he looked back at the gleaming council tower. Let's hope they never have to find out. Dr. Miller, who had been quiet since the dismissal of her presentation, suddenly smiled. You know, there's an old saying from Earth history. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. We're at the laughing stage, Mitchell said, returning her smile. I wonder what comes next. As the Defiance pulled away from Centauri Prime, Mitchell made a decision. He would recommend to Earth's leadership that they continue developing their primitive weapons. After all, the Council's mockery had revealed something important. They had no defenses against the very weapons they ridiculed. Sometimes being underestimated was the greatest advantage of all. 6 months passed since Earth's humiliating admission to the Galactic Council. The mood at Earth Defense Force headquarters was grim, as Admiral Olivia Hayes reviewed the latest reports. Her office window overlooked the busy spaceport of New Denver, where ships came and went in the morning light. Another distress call from the outer colonies, said her aide, handing her a data pad. The Zellari are getting bolder. Hayes frowned as she read the report. The Zellari Consortium, a species that looked like humanoid lizards with golden scales, had been causing trouble across the Orion arm of the galaxy. They specialized in illegal resource harvesting, stripping planets of valuable minerals without permission. Lately, they had set their sights on human colony systems. They know we're classified as a protected developing species, Hayes said. They think they can bully us with no consequences. 3 days earlier, a human patrol ship had encountered Zellari harvesters near Alpha Centauri. When the patrol ship fired warning shots, the Zellari simply laughed. Their energy shields easily deflected the human weapons. Admiral, her communications officer called from the doorway. Urgent message from Proxima Centauri III. The screen on her wall flickered to life, showing the worried face of Governor Diane Wallace. The mining colony leader looked like she hadn't slept in days. Admiral Hayes, we have a situation, Wallace said. A fleet of Zellari ships entered our system this morning. Their commander, someone named Vrex, sent us an ultimatum. Evacuate the planet within 48 hours or be eliminated. Hayes felt cold anger rising in her chest. How many civilians do you have there, Governor? 5,000, Wallace replied, including over 700 children. We've started emergency preparations, but we can't evacuate everyone in time. Our colony ships are too few. What about the Galactic Council? Have you contacted them? Wallace's face hardened. They ignored our distress signal, One official told us, and I quote, "Primitive species must learn their place." After ending the call, Hayes sat in silence for a long moment. Then she pressed a button on her desk. "Get me Captain Richard Nelson of the experimental vessel Sunspot." Immediately. 2 hours later, Captain Nelson stood in Hayes's office. He was a tall man with a weathered face that rarely showed emotion. His service record was impressive, 20 years in the Earth Defense Force without a single failed mission. "You understand this is against Council regulations," Hayes said. "They've forbidden us from engaging other species in combat." Nelson's expression didn't change. "With all due respect, Admiral, those 5,000 people on Proxima 3 are human. Citizens. Our duty is to them, not to aliens who mock us." Hayes nodded slowly. "The Sunspot is officially on a training mission. No one needs to know your true destination. And if the Zalari attack?" Hayes met his gaze. "Defend our people by any means necessary. Show them what humans can do." The Sunspot was small compared to most galactic vessels, about the size of an old Earth submarine. What made it special wasn't visible from the outside. The ship carried a single experimental weapon, an advanced railgun capable of accelerating a tungsten rod to 15% the speed of light. As the ship approached, Proxima Centauri III, Lieutenant Lisa Reeves monitored the scanner. She was young but brilliant, the top graduate from the Academy's weapons division. 12 Zalari warships in orbit around the colony, Captain," she reported. "They've spotted us." Nelson stood calmly on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back. "Open a channel." Before Reeves could comply, the main screen lit up with the image of a Zalari commander. His golden scales gleamed under the lights of his ship, and his vertical pupils narrowed as he studied the humans. "What is this?" Commander Vrex laughed, showing sharp teeth. "Earth sends a tiny ship to save their colony. Have the primates come to throw rocks at our shields?" Several other Zalari officers could be seen in the background enjoying the joke. Nelson didn't react to the insult. "This is Captain Richard Nelson of the Earth vessel Sunspot. You are in human territory without permission. This is your only warning. Leave human space immediately." Vrex made a dismissive gesture with his clawed hand. "Or what, human? Your weapons cannot harm us. Your council masters have abandoned you. We take what we want." As if to prove his point, one of the Zalari ships fired a low-power energy blast across the Sunspot's bow. The shot was clearly meant as an insult rather than a serious attack. Nelson turned to Reeves. "Target their command vessel's propulsion system only." "Sir?" Reeves looked surprised. "Just the engines?" "We're not butchers, Lieutenant. We want them to leave, not die. One shot. Conventional railgun." Reeves's fingers flew over her console. "Target locked, Captain." The bridge fell silent. Every crew member knew what was about to happen. They were about to fire the first human weapon against an alien species in actual combat. "Fire," Nelson said quietly. Inside the ship, powerful electromagnets activated in sequence. A single tungsten rod, no bigger than a human arm, accelerated down the length of the ship. Within microseconds, it reached 0.15 c, 15% of EUR, the speed of light. On the screen, the Zalari continued to laugh. Their sensors, designed to detect energy buildups from conventional weapons, had registered nothing dangerous from the human ship. The tungsten rod crossed the space between the ships in less than a second. When it hit the Zalari command vessel, physics took over. At that speed, the rod carried kinetic energy equivalent to a small nuclear weapon. The Zalari shields, designed to disperse energy attacks, provided no resistance to the solid object. The command vessel was split cleanly in two, without even an explosion. One moment it was whole, the next moment it was two separate pieces drifting apart. The cut was so clean it looked like it had been done with a giant knife. The video feed from Commander Vrex cut off instantly. Every communication channel went silent. Nelson counted the seconds. 17, he said finally, breaking the silence on the bridge. That's how long it took them to realize what happened. The remaining Zalari ships began to move, frantically backing away from the human vessel. "Should we target another one, Captain?" Reeves asked. Nelson shook his head. No need. They got the message. He opened a channel to the remaining ships. This is Captain Nelson. As you can see, human weapons are more effective than you believed. You have 1 hour to leave this system. Any Zalari ships remaining after that time will be considered hostile. The Zalari fleet didn't wait an hour. Within 10 minutes, all 11 remaining ships had jumped to light speed, leaving Proxima Centauri 3 behind. As Nelson sent a message to Earth reporting the success of the mission, he knew that everything had changed. The galaxy had just learned that humans were not to be underestimated. Send a message to Admiral Hayes, he told his communications officer. Tell her 1 shot was all it took. News of the Proxima Centauri incident spread across the galaxy faster than light. 3 days after the Zalari retreat, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. It was the most attended meeting in 3 centuries, with representatives from all corners of the galaxy rushing to Centauri Prime. The Grand Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. On the main display, footage of the Zalari command vessel's destruction played on loop. The clean cut through the massive ship looked impossible, but the evidence was undeniable. High Admiral Zek-Zavalin, the silver-skinned alien who had mocked human weapons 6 months earlier, stood before the council. His usual confidence was gone, replaced by barely controlled panic. These savages have developed weapons of mass destruction that bypass our most advanced defenses, he shouted, his translator struggling to convey his emotion. They must be contained before they destroy us all. Chancellor Zorn raised his 4 hands for silence. Let us not rush to judgment. We must understand what happened. From the shadows of the chamber, Ambassador Kralthax of the Varaxian Empire stepped forward. The scorpion-like alien had been quiet during the proceedings, studying data on a personal device. I have been reviewing the specifications Captain Mitchell provided during Earth's admission hearing, he said. His voice was calm, almost thoughtful. We were warned. The chamber fell silent. What do you mean, warned? Chancellor Zorn asked. Kralthax activated a hologram that showed Dr. Susan Miller's presentation from 6 months ago. They showed us exactly what they could do, and we laughed. He zoomed in on the railgun specifications. Their primitive kinetic weapons achieve speeds that turn simple metal into planet killers, and we dismissed them. A small platform rose from the floor of the chamber, carrying Earth's new representative. Ambassador Mary Johnson was a middle-aged woman with short gray hair and a calm demeanor that hid a sharp mind. As a former judge, she had been chosen specifically for this crisis. The Council recognizes Earth's representative, Chancellor Zorn announced. Johnson bowed slightly. Thank you, Chancellor. I've been sent to address your concerns about the recent incident at Proxima Centauri 3rd. Incident? Admiral Zek-Zavalin sputtered. Your species destroyed a Zalari warship with a single shot. Johnson nodded. A warship that was threatening 5,000 human civilians, including 700 children, after the Zalari fired upon our vessel. She walked to the center of the chamber, her simple blue uniform standing out among the elaborate robes of the alien representatives. The weapon that destroyed the Zalari vessel was obsolete by our standards, a training model, she said. It was deliberately aimed at non-critical systems to minimize casualties. According to our reports, only 12 Zalari were lost in the incident. We have no desire for conflict, but will defend our citizens. A tall, plant-like alien with flowers blooming across its body stepped forward. If this was a training model, what do your current weapons achieve? Johnson smiled politely. I'm not authorized to share those specifications, Counselor. The chamber erupted in worried whispers. In a small room adjacent to the main chamber, a team of Council scientists huddled around displays showing the Proxima Centauri incident from multiple angles. Chief Scientist Vreen, an octopus-like being, floating in a special water tank, pointed a tentacle at the data. It's worse than we thought, he said to his colleagues. Our calculations confirm what military advisors feared. Conventional energy shields provide virtually no protection against kinetic weapons moving at significant fractions of light speed. Another scientist, a robotic entity named PX-7, added, Most concerning is that these weapons are virtually undetectable by our standard scanning systems. They generate no energy signature until the moment of firing, and then it's too late. Green's skin changed to a pale blue, indicating distress. The humans have perfected a weapons approach abandoned by most species millennia ago. Creating a strategic blind spot in galactic defenses, PX-7 finished. A third scientist, a small furry creature named Dr. Lip, looked up from her calculations. That's not the worst part. These weapons require no exotic materials. They can be manufactured without specialized equipment, and they are brutally effective. Back in the main chamber, the council was voting on how to respond to the human demonstration of power. Ambassador Johnson watched calmly from her platform as the votes were tallied. The council has decided, Chancellor Zorn announced. Earth will be reclassified as a provisional member rather than a protected species. Additionally, we request a delegation of council security experts be allowed to visit Earth to better understand your defensive capabilities. Johnson bowed again. I will convey your request to my government. As she turned to leave, Admiral Zex Valen blocked her path. This isn't over, human. Your species is dangerous. Too dangerous to be trusted. Johnson looked up at the much taller alien without fear. Admiral, when we first met the council, you showed us weapons that could destroy moons. Yet you call us dangerous because our technology is different from yours? Different and unpredictable, Zex Valen hissed. Perhaps that is a good thing, Johnson replied. In nature, adaptation and diversity lead to stronger systems. The same might be true for galactic security. After the council session ended, a classified report began to circulate among security forces throughout the galaxy. It detailed the potential threat of human kinetic weapons and recommended immediate upgrades to all defensive systems. The report's conclusion was simple. Traditional energy shields are insufficient against relativistic kinetic impacts. Physical armor must be added to all critical vessels and installations. On the journey back to Earth, Ambassador Johnson received a troubling message from Admiral Hayes. Intelligence reports suggested that several major galactic powers were developing countermeasures against human weapons. Should we be concerned? Johnson asked during their secure communication. Hayes smiled grimly. They can try to develop countermeasures, but physics is on our side. You can't stop a piece of metal moving at a significant fraction of the speed of light without massive physical barriers. And our engineers are already developing the next generation of weapons. The Council has no idea, do they? Johnson said. No. They think what happened at Proxima Centauri was our best technology. Hayes looked serious. Our colonies throughout our territory have begun mass-producing these primitive weapons, just in case. By the time the Council realizes the full extent of our capabilities, it will be too late for them to do anything about it. Johnson considered this information carefully. I don't want war, Admiral. Neither do I, Hayes replied. That's why we need to be so strong that no one would dare start one. As her ship approached Earth, Johnson prepared her report for the government. The galaxy had changed in just a few days. Humans had gone from being laughed at to being feared. It wasn't the diplomatic victory she had hoped for, but perhaps fear would keep the peace until respect could grow. In the final line of her report, she wrote, "The Council has learned that primitive doesn't mean harmless. Now we must teach them that powerful doesn't mean dangerous unless provoked." 3 years passed since the Orion incident. The Galactic Council chamber looked very different now. Gone were the tiers that separated advanced species from developing ones. In their place was a circular arrangement where all members sat, as equals. Earth's delegation, led by Ambassador Paul Garcia, occupied a position directly across from the Chancellor's platform. The primitive species classification had been quietly removed from all official records. Garcia sat with perfect posture in his chair, watching the proceedings with calm interest. At 55, he had spent most of his life as a diplomat, but nothing had prepared him for representing humanity on the galactic stage. The Council recognizes the Algoran delegation, announced Chancellor Zorn. The insect-like Algorans buzzed nervously as they took the floor. Their high commander, a massive drone with iridescent wings, spoke first. We wish to inform the Council that our expansion fleet has been redirected away from the Tau Ceti system, he said. We recently learned the system has been colonized by humans. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Algoran Empire was known for aggressive expansion, taking any habitable world they could find. They rarely changed course once a target was selected. Chancellor Zorn leaned forward. May I ask why you have altered your plans? Tau Ceti would have been a valuable addition to your territory. The High Commander's mandibles clicked nervously. We do not provoke the species that kills with sticks and stones. Several representatives chuckled at the description, but there was no mockery in their laughter, only a new respect tinged with fear. After the session ended, Garcia met with the Council's inner circle in a private chamber. The 6 most influential species in the galaxy were represented along with Earth. The conversation was tense but respectful. Your people have caused quite a disruption in galactic affairs, said the Voraxian representative, Ambassador Kralthax. Despite his fearsome appearance, he had become one of humanity's strongest allies. Garcia nodded. Change is often disruptive. Change? The Arcturian delegate scoffed. You've forced every major power to retrofit their fleets with physical armor, a development not seen in galactic warfare for thousands of years. The cost has nearly bankrupted several mid-tier powers. Humanity doesn't seek dominance, Garcia replied calmly. We simply developed along a different path. While you mastered energy manipulation, we perfected the physics of motion. Your scientists dismissed kinetic weapons as inefficient. Ours made them devastating. Kralthax's chitinous face couldn't show human expressions, but his voice softened. The universe teaches wisdom through many channels. Sometimes the oldest lessons are the most valuable. Later that day, Garcia attended a military demonstration on Centauri Prime's largest moon. A joint exercise between human forces and several alien fleets was taking place, something unimaginable 3 years ago. Admiral Richard Nelson, the hero of Proxima Centauri, now commanded Earth's Galactic fleet. He stood beside Garcia on the observation platform, watching human ships maneuver alongside alien vessels. 3 years ago they laughed at us, Nelson said quietly. Now they send their best officers to train with ours. It was true. The Earth Defense Force Academy had become the most prestigious military school in the galaxy. Species that had once mocked humans now competed for spots in its programs. In a large training hall below the observation deck, Officer Kevin Parker taught a class filled with alien students. Parker had been a junior officer during the Orion incident but had since become Earth's top combat instructor. Kinetic weapons follow simple rules, he explained to the diverse group. Mass times velocity squared equals impact energy. The faster the projectile, the more devastating the result. A tall, blue-skinned alien raised a tentacle. But energy shields are more efficient. They require less material and can be maintained indefinitely. Parker smiled. Efficiency isn't everything. Your shields work perfectly against energy attacks. But as we've demonstrated, they're useless against solid objects moving at relativistic speeds. The alien lowered its tentacle, chastened. That's why we're teaching you how to combine approaches, Parker continued. Energy shields for energy weapons, physical armor for kinetic impacts. The best defense uses all available methods. Back on Earth, daily life had changed dramatically. Human cities now hosted visitors from across the galaxy. In schools, children learned about different species and the delicate balance of galactic politics. At Hamilton Elementary School in New Chicago, Secretary of Defense Susan Miller, the same Dr. Miller who had been mocked at the council 3 years earlier, visited a 5th grade classroom. Does anyone have questions for Secretary Miller? Asked the teacher. A young boy raised his hand. Why were aliens so surprised by our weapons? They seem so simple. Miller smiled, remembering her humiliation in the council chamber years ago. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most elegant. Humanity never forgot that potential energy becomes kinetic energy, and kinetic energy is very, very real. The council had forgotten that fundamental truth. Do aliens like us now? Asked a girl near the front. Miller considered the question carefully. They respect us, which is more important than being liked. In space, Respect keeps people safe. That evening, Ambassador Garcia attended a diplomatic reception at the Centauri Prime Embassy. Representatives from 30 species mingled in the Grand Hall, discussing trade agreements and cultural exchanges. 3 years ago, humans would have been relegated to the corners of such an event. Now, Garcia found himself surrounded by aliens, eager to speak with him. "Ambassador," called a voice behind him. Garcia turned to see Admiral Zexvalen approaching. The Arcturian had been humanity's strongest critic but had gradually changed his position. "Admiral," Garcia greeted him. "I'm surprised to see you here." Zexvalen's silver skin shimmered in the light. "The galaxy changes and the wise change with it." He lowered his voice. "I must admit, when I first dismissed your weapons as primitive, I never imagined they would reshape galactic warfare." "We didn't set out to change anything," Garcia said. "Honestly, we just wanted to be heard." "Now everyone listens when Earth speaks," Zexvalen replied. "Your people have taught the galaxy a valuable lesson in humility." As Garcia prepared to return to Earth the next day, he stood at the viewport of his ship, looking down at Centauri Prime. Human vessels moved confidently through the space lanes, no longer out of place among the exotic alien crafts. Each ship bore the new motto of the Earth Defense Force, etched in simple letters on its hull. "Respect is earned through wisdom, not technology." And beneath it, in smaller text, "One shot is all it takes." The galaxy had learned not to confuse simplicity with weakness, a lesson written in the stars by humanity's primitive weapons. And humans had learned that sometimes being underestimated was the greatest advantage of all. As his ship broke orbit, Garcia thought about how far they had come, from laughingstock to respected power in just 3 years. Not through conquest or threats, but through a simple demonstration of physics that even a child could understand. Sometimes the oldest lessons were indeed the most powerful. End of story outline.